The demand and supply function on a perfect competition market. So we start with the demand function. We will look at the quantity of a good that we're interested in and the price per unit of that good. And we see that each individual's demand is based on the price of the good. That's the movement on the demand function. And then we'll have different shift parameters, and the most common one are income, prices of other goods, and the preferences from the consumer. The demand function shows that the individual's marginal value of each unit of the good. You can say that what the individual thinks that each unit of the good is worth. When income, all other prices of goods and the preferences are given. So with the Latin word ceteris paribus, everything else being equal. If we look from the other way around, so to speak, the other way, we will see how many units the individual will be willing to buy at different prices, as long as the individual, since the individual will be buying units as long as the marginal value for each unit is greater than or equal to the price she has to pay. That will give us a negatively sloping demand function, since the marginal utility is diminishing. So for each additional unit we will have a slightly less utility increase, and therefore we will have the position where we're not willing to pay as much as we did for the unit before, prior to this one. So if we look at price 1, for instance, and we have this other way around looking, then we see that price 1 is lower than all these units that we have down there to this quantity there, this unit, which has a marginal value that is equal to the price. So that will be the last one that the consumer is willing to buy, because the next unit, if you look at the next unit down here, for instance this one, has a value that is lower than the price, and therefore it would be a loss for the consumer to buy that one. So they are not willing to do that. If we look at the supply side, we will have that each firm's supply is based on the price of the good. That's the movement on the supply function. The prices of production factors that we use, labor, capital, whatever we are looking at, those are shift parameters. If the price of labor goes up, each unit that we produce will become more costly to produce, and therefore we will have a higher marginal cost. And when the marginal cost increases, the supply decreases. And to be able to have a supply, firstly, whatsoever, you need to be a price taker. It's only price taking companies that actually has supply functions. And another shift shift parameter is technology. And then, of course, if the technology is improved, then we will be able to use the production factors that we have more efficiently, and therefore the cost will go down per unit. So, as I mentioned, this shows the marginal cost for each unit of the good, what the company has to pay to produce each additional unit of the good, when the factor prices and the technology are given. Ceteris paribus is valid here as well. And if you look from the other way, we will see how many units of the good the company is willing to sell at different prices, as the company will sell every unit that has a marginal cost that is lower than or equal to the market price. So we have the supply function equal to the marginal cost for the firm here, and if we take this price 1 as we had for the consumers as well, looking at the producers, we see here that we have marginal cost that is lower than this price up to this quantity, and this unit has a marginal cost that is equally with the price. So that's the last one that they're going to produce, because the next one will give us a marginal cost that is higher than the price, and therefore we will not be willing to sell that unit. If we combine all this on a market, we have to sum all of the demand functions from all the individuals together. And we have to do the same thing with all the supply functions for the firms that are supplying this good. So we will have the demand function as a horizontal sum of all the marginal values from individuals. So we know that it's a thinking, giving a certain price, how many units are we together willing to consume, to buy. The same reasoning when we look at the supply function. For a certain given price, how many units are the firms willing to add up and sell together at that price. And the equilibrium will be the situation here. As long as the marginal value on the market is higher than the marginal cost of producing the unit, we will be willing to consume, and therefore the producers will be willing to produce. But the next unit here, if we look at the next unit, you see that the marginal value for that unit is less than the marginal cost, so no one is willing to pay the cost that one actually costs to produce, and therefore that one will not be produced or consumed. So the equilibrium will be in the intersection between the demand and the supply function.